Well, here is another cool video of the top 10 best scenes from Shogun Volume 2. Like we mentioned before, it is one of the most watched series in 2024. Kindly drop a thumbs up and a comment on what you think of these scenes. Also hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification because you are our superhero. Let's proceed. 1. Toranaga and the other 4 regents share authority. Lord Toranaga is made to play. A game that really started with precise instructions the Taiko left with the supreme monarch in the latter stages of his life. A year prior to pilot Major John Blackthorne and his Dutch vessel Erasmus washing up stranded on a Japanese beach, Toranaga had a private conversation in the company of his dying leader, Yukijiro Hotaru. The old guy adds, "Vultures are circling." His passing will undoubtedly prompt demands for a civil war. Even worse, it would expose his youthful heir Yachiyo, Sen Mars, to being put out of commission. Although the Taiko only had faith in Toranaga, if he were to be named the lone regent, all other parties vying for power would quickly turn against him. For this reason, an alternative edict is made, in which Toranaga and the other 4 regents share authority. We have already met the cunning and strong Ishido, Sugiyama, Toshitoda, a wealthy descendant of samurai, Ono, Takeshi Kurakawa, a former warrior who became a Catholic after contracting leprosy, and Kiyama, Hiramoto Ida, who is likewise a man of faith, as long as it feeds his ambition and greed. 2. John Blackthorne be executed. More quiet attendants show up with official documents intended to remove Ishido from Toranaga's position. He's definitely aching for the ease of war, as he applies his official seal while eyeing his armor wistfully from across the room. The other members of the council, who are all Catholics, are offended by John Blackthorne's presence in Japan as a Protestant Englishman and will not sign the impeachment papers when he presents them to them. Ishido is upset, saying, "This morning I woke up and saw us as Toranaga must see us, bureaucrats." They demand that Blackthorne be executed.
This English mouth.
Three. Toranaga's impeachment amid unstable political turmoil. These guys are all for Toranaga's removal. His name is Minowara, which was formerly connected to the highest status and title on earth. You are aware, Shogun. Even though Toranaga asserts that he does not desire the shogunate, he must nonetheless control the actions of his rival regents. The entrance of Blackthorne, also known as the Barbarian, Anjin, the Japanese term for a ship's pilot, and heretic, among the converted has worsened the already unstable political environment. 4. The vultures are circling. The push-pull of Shogun as a historical epic and a quiet prestige drama becomes slightly uneven, with bureaucracy taking center stage. The straightforward objective of Servants of Two Masters, which takes place almost exclusively in the few chambers of Osaka Castle, including the flashback beginning, is to set everything out. In the flashback, the Taiko informs Toranaga, the vultures are circling, as he lies dying and explains that Toranaga is the one person he trusts to keep his heir safe until he reaches adulthood. The Taiko have established the Council of Regents to avert civil war, and Toranaga reluctantly agrees, understanding that the Council's failure to come to an agreement will surely result in conflict. A year prior to pilot Major John Blackthorne and his Dutch vessel Erasmus washing up stranded on a Japanese beach, Toranaga had a private conversation in the company of his dying leader, Yukijiro Hotaru. The old guy adds, "Vultures are circling." His passing will undoubtedly prompt demands for a civil war. 5. England is at war with Portugal and I only want to keep the peace. In the first episode, we left Blackthorne in front of Toranaga. Fast forward to the present. Toranaga has asked Father Martin Alvito, Tommy Basto to interpret, and he has also summoned Lady Mariko to ensure that Alvito is translating correctly. But Ishido storms in and quietly implies that Blackthorne ought to be imprisoned, just as Toranaga finds out that Blackthorn's England is at war with Portugal. Toranaga concurs as the two men have a convoluted but courteous conversation that betrays their actual motivations. Toranaga's reason for locking Blackthorn up might very well be, "I only want to keep the peace." 6. Toranaga and Blackthorn measure of wits. The most alone guy in the realm is the one who is at the highest point. Now, however, as Blackthorn bows down to him in an official garden, Toranaga discovers vital information that will unite him with this enigmatic stranger. The encounter is just another illustration of Shogun's masterful use of words. As a reliable backup against mischief, Toranaga also uses Lady Mariko, who speaks Japanese, Portuguese, and Latin fluently, with Jesuit priest Martin Alvito, Tommy Basto summoned to translate. Close-up shots of Toranaga and Blackthorn are shown by Shogun, who has Mariko directing and Alvito interpreting. Through the sorting of two spoken languages, each man gains an understanding of the other's mental measure, and the translation dissolves, allowing for a sort of direct connection. The bottom line is that they can benefit from one another. Blackthorn is aware of covert Portuguese outposts, such as those in Macau, that are run by Jesuits and furnished with weaponry and mercenary Ronin samurai who have converted to Catholicism. Moreover, being a perceptive and knowledgeable political observer, Marco observes that Toranaga intends to consolidate his political position by dividing the Jesuit priests, the two Christian regents, and Ishido through the Protestant, English pilot guest. 7. Samurai Yabashiga breaks Blackthorn out of jail. First, in order to please Ishido, Blackthorn has to survive the dismal and horrible dungeon where Toranaga dumps him. Who else but the untamed-haired Joaquim de Almeida in the role of disgraced priest Father Domingo? Domingo advises the pilot, "You can't play their games. Their hearts are too guarded, their rules too opaque." Wherein Blackthorn uses the courage that carried him around the globe to a place where he does not intend to die on a cross. Can he play their games, then? Better still, what if he triumphs? Once Toranaga is gone, the samurai Yabashiga, who is a fierce vassal sworn to serve Toranaga, breaks him out of jail. With his newfound freedom, the pilot realizes that his expertise can help Toranaga in his political maneuvers. 8. Blackthorn tells Toranaga Japan belongs to Portugal. Your nation is included in the Portuguese half. Thus, it is theirs. Blackthorn has explained how treaties between Portugal and Spain have divided the non-Christian world during another discussion in the formal garden. In addition to describing the Erasmus's passage through the Strait of Magellan in South America, he sketches a globe in the sand to show where England and Europe are in respect to Japan. A path that Portugal and Spain keep hidden. A path that is well stocked with bases. And a means by which they keeping the wealth of commerce with Japan to themselves. Toranaga seems surprised. Did the barbarian indeed declare that Japan belongs to Portugal? He asks Mariko. In his capacity as the president of foreign relations for the Regency, he also places a hold on Portugal's main commerce vessel, the Black Ship. Toranaga advises Alvito, maybe we should learn more about these bases before negotiating further, and the young priest gets all green, like he just eaten a bug. 9. Ishido signs the decree for Blackthorn's execution. Ishido goes outside the castle to see Yabashiga. Upon discovering that Ishido has already signed the order for John's death, Yabashiga devises a scheme to keep John alive. After bringing John to Toranaga, he uses local bandits to assassinate the men carrying him to be executed. John uses Mariko's translation to support his arguments. He clarifies that Japan has no enemies in the Protestant Queen. The Portuguese represent a shared opponent for them both. John starts telling Toranaga all he has written in his journals.
This English mouth.
Ten. Japan is a component of the New World. He clarifies that the Erasmus was able to land because the Portuguese and Spanish held the Magellan Pass. Japan is a component of the New World, which the two empires divided into two halves for their own purposes. Their ultimate objective is to establish their own sovereignty over the lands and remove any non-Catholic rulers. The remainder of the court, including Toranaga, is in shock. However, the regent already has a strategy in place. John is to spend the night in his quarters, per his instructions.